What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today once again we've got a big roundup of several Destiny 2 related topics. Going to be going over a secret weapon related to a time-gated quest, a new raid layer with the DLC, a broken exotic, Saint 14, and a bunch of other stuff. So as usual, a big roundup of several interesting things to get through. So let's begin with talking about Saint 14, someone you've probably heard of inside the lore, if not the exotic Titan helmet from Destiny 1, which belonged to him and also returned in this DLC, so that wasn't a coincidence, and there is a ton of interesting stuff inside this expansion related to him. So firstly, there is actually a Saint 14 shotgun as some sort of hidden quest item. It is a legendary, not exotic, but it currently isn't available. Nobody has it and nobody knows how to get it, but I actually did find out how it will be obtained in the future. So on screen you can see what the weapon looks like. Notice the Roman numerals XIV on the side, which of course means 14, and there's also a saint icon just above it, so it literally says Saint 14 on it. You also notice how similar it is to the helm of Saint 14, made out of the hammered steel and the purple lights. As for perks, it's got rapid fire frame, so it's in the fastest rate of fire archetype, and rampage is the main perk, so kills give you a small damage boost up to 3 times, so it's going to be good against big groups of enemies, and rampage is pretty rare on shotguns. So how do you actually get this thing? Well, like I said, it's currently unobtainable right now, but will be unlocked soon in the future, and I did find some pretty interesting clues that hint at how it's going to be obtainable, and also Saint 14 himself, but that is by completing all of the forge weapons or doing all the verses that Brother Vance offers you. So this obviously will take several weeks because you are limited on how many verses you can do per week, but there are 10 lost prophecies, 10 verses that relate to, of course, 10 weapons. Now, if you look at the forge thing on the wall, it shows 11 no's. Now, the 11th one is for an extra lost prophecy called Another Verse. That's simply the name of it. So this is the 11th prophecy, and the Saint 14 shotgun is the 11th forge weapon. Once you complete all 10 normal verses, this extra 11th verse is going to unlock, giving you the Saint 14 shotgun. You'll also notice that the description of the verse is the exact same as the description of the weapon. So, as with all verse weapons, the description written on the verse is always the same as the description of the weapon that verse gives you. So, the two are definitely related, and the last words are even a perfect paradox. So, there's no doubt this verse is how you get the shotgun. Now, on top of that, there's also a very cool Easter egg inside the game relating to Saint 14. If you go to the Dark Future version of Mercury inside the Up and Up adventure, this is set in a reality where the Vex won and basically destroyed everything, the light and the darkness, but this area is strangely empty and it leads up to this big Vex-looking wall. Now, if you go up to it and look through it with a sniper scope, you can see what looks like a floating dead guardian and some sort of resting place or tomb, which is actually pretty eerie in itself. It's a very dark and kind of creepy thing to look at, which I actually love. I'm really glad Bungie did this, but this is most likely going to be the dead body of Saint 14 himself. I believe the founder of this was someone called Wolfhammer, so full credit goes to them. But this does actually look a lot like him. It's a big bulky Titan, doesn't have his helmet on, he's silver, he's also wrapped in purple ribbons that matches his same color scheme. If you look at Saint 14's new exotic ship, he has the identical ribbons, the purple ones, on those, so this is most likely Saint 14's dead body. Now, there are some lore tabs inside the game which also give the impression that he died right here on Mercury, so it supports this could be his body. So if you're wondering who Saint 14 actually was and why he's related to all this, he was a legendary Titan known for his assaults on the Fallen basically, similar to Osiris and the Vex, and Toland for the Hive. Saint 14 was known for his fights against the Fallen, he even headbutted a Kel to death once with his head, so that's why there's a dent on his exotic helmet, you'll notice. But Saint 14 was good friends with Osiris and also a close student of the Speaker. After the Speaker exiled Osiris for messing too much with the darkness, Saint 14 decided to go search for Osiris here on Mercury, and that was the last we heard of Saint 14, searching right here on Mercury for Osiris. Now, in the lore tab for his new shotgun, we finally, after years, find out what happened next, and it doesn't go well for him. It turns out Saint 14 is most likely dead, and he never actually found Osiris. He said the Vex struck a fatal blow against him by building a mind to drain Saint 14's light, which worked very well apparently, and it seems like it may have killed him. He says that he sits on its shattered husk, which could describe this room right here, and it's basically his deathbed surrounded by a bunch of Vex. So it isn't fully clear if Saint 14 is completely dead, but it definitely does give the impression on the shotgun, the helmet, and also inside this ship. So it does mention his demise, kind of like a death note. He also does say this shotgun was the only thing he had left, given to him by Osiris. So Osiris actually made this shotgun, and then Saint 14 said he would make sure he finds its way back to him. So maybe he left it for us to find and give back to Osiris, or maybe we find it by accident. But either way, I'm guessing the 11th verse takes you right here, and that is how we get the shotgun. But either way, I think it's a pretty interesting story arc. I think it was quite well done. I'm glad they included this to pay off a story they began years ago. And Saint 14 is one of the biggest legends, so it seems pretty well paid off in my opinion. It is a shame to see such a big character killed off screen, but there you go, that is Saint 14's shotgun, its perks, how you get it, and also the lore of how it's related to the expansion. So moving on to the next topic I want to discuss, which is the Prometheus Lens, probably the most broken exotic in definitely Destiny 2's history, and maybe Destiny history in general. So it's a very, very, very strong exotic right now. I'm sure most of you have heard of it, if not experienced it firsthand in Crucible, but this is a literally broken weapon. Deej even said it's bugged, which I kind of suspected yesterday. I said that it was very, very strong, and it did seem like it was outperforming. So that is actually the case. It's not simply just overpowered or strong, it's actually bugged. So it seems to do a ton more damage than it's supposed to. You can see some clips of me in Crucible going against it, and yeah, the thing just melts you. I'm not exactly sure what does cause the actual damage. It seems to be something to do with the burning and probably some kind of coding thing inside Crucible, because inside PvE it seems to work as intended. It's very good against ads as opposed to Cold Heart, which is good against single target big bosses. But this thing, the Prometheus Lens, in Crucible for some reason just does a ton of damage and absolutely destroys people. You can see gameplay clips. There's basically just no way of winning gunfights. I actually found it pretty funny trying to go against these things. I'm sure if I played a ton more, I'd probably start getting annoyed, but it is obviously just pretty much impossible to win against. We had one on our team, I think 3 on their team using it. So I was basically hiding behind the one teammate, hoping he could do all the work, because he's the only one capable of doing enough damage. So I don't actually have the weapon myself. My RNG hasn't been that lucky, unfortunately. But this weapon does actually remind me a lot of the Vex Mythoclast, which you might remember was the original Vault of Glass exotic. Now, the only way to get this was through hard mode of the raid, and it was a very, very rare drop. In the days where RNG was just so harsh, you had to be so lucky to get this thing. But if you did, it was actually broken. The same as this, it had a pretty similar kill time, just even faster, and it was just night and day, so much different and so much quicker than any other weapon in the entire game. So this honestly is very similar. I think it's by far the most overpowered weapon in Destiny 2's history. So Deej from Bungie did actually say the weapon is bugged and they're planning on fixing it. Not sure when they will. They're going to be announcing it tomorrow, but I'm assuming next Tuesday, and I'm definitely willing to bet they cancel trials for this weekend. It's going to be unfortunate to see, but I can't really imagine trials going forward with this, and it's pretty much a case of, do you have the Prometheus Lens? If not, you're pretty much going to lose. So if you got 4 of these things, you're almost guaranteed a flawless ticket, and if you don't, if you're a bad RNG, if none of your teammates have one, then you're almost guaranteed to lose. So it does seem to be very RNG based. Obviously the weapon is purely RNG through engrams. There's no quest or guaranteed way to get this one, and I would be surprised if Bungie let trials go ahead and actually have this experience. But it would be interesting if it does happen, but of course we'll have to wait and see. If there are any updates, I'll let you guys know, but let me know in the comment section if any of you guys have it. I unfortunately don't. I'm going to be trying to grind to get this thing because it looks so much fun, but I guess Bungie is going to be nerfing it, or fixing is the best word to use, because it is technically broken, not just overpowered. So there you go. The Prometheus Lens is definitely a monster right now. So moving on, we're going to talk about the raid layer. So Bungie actually detailed when it's going to go live, not really surprising. That is this Friday, very short notice, which they said a bit earlier, so people had time to prepare, but it is happening this Friday, the 8th of December at 10 AM Pacific, so the usual event time. Now, something pretty surprising is that they did actually show off a couple of images and actually video footage, a couple seconds of inside the raid layer, which normally they never do. They're always very secretive about raids, but this time they showed off a couple seconds of kind of rooms. There aren't bosses or major spoilers, but you can see kind of a general vibe of what inside the raid layer is like. A pretty interesting detail is you can see Cabal enemies inside here, which does seem like they will be the main enemy. They look very similar to the royal ones you see up top. So unfortunately, it might mean the main enemies inside here are going to be Cabal. I really hope not. It would be cool, like I've said before, to have some kind of Vex inside here that's like taken over a massive dungeon. It kind of makes sense for the lore, because Leviathan is eating all kinds of things, and it's also eating Nessus, so that's a massive Vex planet. I think it would be cool if there's some kind of Vex mind inside here. It does seem like there's going to be at least Cabal inside here, hopefully some other enemies too. One of the pretty cool clips shows off the actual kind of world eating part of the Leviathan. So of course this does eat planets, and it looks like this is where that actually happens. So it's really cool to see inside here. This is actually playable space, so you can see the little kind of rocks and trees floating, and part of the actual encounter is going to be on these kind of rocks and things and debris. So these locations, skyboxes, do seem very cool. There are also other clips showing off covering massive amounts of ground, so you're being launched basically across the map. Seems very similar to the old Destiny 1 raids where you would cover a lot of ground and there were these massive jumping puzzles. So it seems to be returning to that. One thing the original Leviathan raid was missing were some kind of massive jumping puzzles. There weren't really any apart from the underbelly, which was equally impressive in itself. But it seems like this raid is going to have some kind of jumping puzzles and hopefully some cool ones in between encounters. Now, we do know this raid is going to be a bit shorter than a normal raid, so probably on the Crota's end length in terms of time, but it is going to have encounters and a final boss fight. So if I was to guess, probably 2, and then a final boss, or maybe 1. I'm hoping it's at least 2, but it's going to be a bit shorter, and it does have its own separate loot pool. So new weapons, new armor. The ones you can see inside Benedict's inventory are different. So these are actually applied to your normal raid gear, the original Leviathan. So these have their own set challenges, you can see right here, but these are not related to the new Eater of Worlds raid layer. So stay tuned on this channel. I will be live streaming on this YouTube channel the raid lair when it goes live. So if you want to see me playing through it, you can of course do that. So make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss my videos and streams. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, then a like rating down below would be much appreciated. If you want to watch a video I made talking about a bunch of exotics, a hidden exotic, and also puzzles on Mercury, then you can click the image on screen. And I'll see you guys next one.